Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We Are All Psychic, and today it's today for her, and it's tonight right now for me. We have Rachael. Rachael, would you like to say hello?
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachael Ortega.
And they're all psychically like calling back to you. I can hear them. Hey, Rachael Ortega, what's up? What do you think we're all psychic? They're asking you. The listeners are asking you. Do you think we're all psychic?
I do. I do. Well, that's kind of a hard question to ask because it's not really a black and white thing. I believe we're all intuitive. I think psychic is kind of a step above intuitive, or just a little bit higher level. But so the answer is kind of yes and no.
Yeah, it's most people that are like, well, psychic, the word just doesn't, fit for me, right? For everybody. That's like, they put it into your context, like intuitive. Yeah, kind of, I've never heard anyone really put it down like what you just said. There's like levels, and like some people consider psychic kind of a bit step up from intuitive. I never really thought about it that way because I kind of see them as the same thing. But, I guess you're right. Society might do that. They might really kind of say, well, I have intuition, but I'm not like Sylvia Brown, or whatever. So,
well, I think we're all intuitive. We're all intuitive. We all know things, right? We all know things. Psychic is, we all know things about ourselves, right? Or maybe even the person's next to us, the people closest to us, or we can kind of predict what's going to happen in our own lives, like things that affect us. Whereas somebody that's psychic can meet up with a stranger and know what's going on with them, tap into their energy. And so it's
anyone's capable of that, or do you think just certain people are?
I think it can be developed.
Yeah. Me too.
I do believe it's something that can be developed. It's practice, right? It's with everything. You meet people that they sang horribly, right? And then they go see a singing coach, right? And they practice for a few years, and now they're on American Idol, or they're
right, yeah.
Yes, so I think it comes down to training and practice. And I say this because I've always been psychic. I've always known things, known things about other people, known more than what I'm supposed to know. But I didn't until I started training. Till I embraced it and then started training and practicing. I've seen it grow and grow and grow.
Okay, yeah, me too. In mine, I didn't really think of myself as a psychic person when I was younger. Looking back, I had, especially listening to this podcast, I had a lot of the experiences everybody did. I didn't know. I didn't talk about it. I didn't think anything of it, in my case. And just kind of let it go. Okay, that's what that was. I saw a leprechaun. Okay, I guess those are around here. And then I just kind of forget about it and stuff like that. But like, were you raised around that kind of mentality, or did you learn? I learned. I really did teach myself most everything about this. And then as far as the podcast, though, on this show, I've learned more and more and more and more from all the guests. Oh,
I bet. Well, I'm a psychic medium, so I do mediumship also, which is connect. So psychic would be connecting with other people's energy. Connecting with your own energy, connecting with other people's energy. And mediumship is connecting with energy of spirits on the other side. Okay. And so those are a little different, and they actually feel different too when I'm doing those. And I also connect with pets that are living and past also.
Now I'd like to ask you a question about that, because I have a hard time I can't tell when animals are past or not. I just can't tell. They all seem the same to me, whether they're past or not. And I don't know why.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there.
I don't know, because people come to me and they tell me if their animals are past or not.
That's true.
Actually,
yeah. Well, I've had lost pets. People ask lost pet readings. Have you ever done lost pet readings? I won't charge for them. They're really impossible. I hate them. I hate them.
I hate them. I have done them, and I have been able to feel if they're alive or not.
Oh, you have? Okay. See, I can't.
Yes.
I really cannot tell the truth. I can feel their life force no matter what. So, and I'm like, all those runaways cannot be alive, that I've been asked that question too. So I was just like, geez,
yeah. Some are hard, some are a little harder, but some,
yeah.
But I remember one in particular. The cat it was somebody looking for their cat, and the cat was alive. I could feel that very, like the cat was living somewhere else. And he was kind of he was showing me he was happy, like he was happy where he was at.
Yes,
and he wanted her to move on, like move forward.
I've had that happen before too with an animal that was a missing cat. Yeah, and he told me the same thing. Yeah. That's weird. Yeah, like they do pick who they want to be with. Animals, they really a lot of time. But when it's a missing dog, I kind of worry because dogs don't usually just take off, unless they get excited by something and then they're like, they come back. They can find their way home usually, so I don't know, but I can't feel the energy change in their spirit. Maybe they're just like not letting me know, so I won't tell their person. I can't tell.
I don't know. It might just be. I don't know. I have to think about that.
I don't know either. I just don't know what that's about. With humans, I usually just kind of, I'm not always right, but I can usually tell if they're past or not. But then the other thing I can't really pick up on is pregnancy. I can never pick up if someone's pregnant or not. Some people can just like, that person's pregnant. I don't know how they do it, but they can. Are you one of those?
I can tell. Yeah, I'm really good at sniffing out a pregnant person. But my daughter was pregnant and I was clueless, right?
Oh, you didn't want to know that, or your daughter.
I think I was just maybe I was too distracted. She didn't want to say anything. She didn't tell me till she was 10 weeks, and it was totally off my radar. But I didn't even think she was trying. So it was. I was completely like, "What? You're pregnant?"
Yeah, all the people you've known, like your own daughter, but she probably does have like the abilities to block her own mom energy,
Oh yeah,
we all have that.
Well, then my brother's
block. No, mom.
Yeah, and my sister-in-law was pregnant, and I picked up on that right away.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So but it's energy, right? It's all energy. And some people you pick up on their energy easier than others.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I've never been pregnant. I don't know. Have you been pregnant before? I was wondering if you could tell before and after if there was a difference if you had been.
I have 5 kids.
So you have been pregnant quite a few times. Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and what it is. Sometimes I see somebody and I'm like, oh, that girl's pregnant. Like I
love that. Yeah,
their energy is different. But it's not, I don't know, pick that up with everybody. It's, it's just an energy thing. Some people have stronger energy than others. Some people are more open than others. And, and somebody that's very open, they're a lot easier to read than somebody that's closed off and containing their own energy, right?
Yeah, and some people, they want everyone to know they're pregnant too. So that's in their energy, I think. Like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're thinking about it like, I can't stand it. What am I going to do? This is horrible. This is going to be so hard. Freak out moment or something.
Usually
on that,
Yeah, it is really interesting. But your question, you had asked me about how I grew up, if I grew up.
Oh, yeah.
The answer is no. So I had my gifts since, I don't know, ever since I can remember, right? And I remember being about maybe 3 or 4 years old. And waking up, me and my brother had bunk beds, and waking up and there was a woman standing in my room. And I went running to my parents' room screaming, there's a ghost in my room. There's a ghost in my room. And my dad, they were like, no, you're just having a nightmare. And he took me back to my room and he's like, look, see, there's nobody in here. And he put me back to bed. And I think I kind of blocked. I don't remember really seeing like somebody standing there, after that, but I would see like things that like shadows out of the corner of my eye.
What do you think shadow people are? Because a lot of people have said that too. When they're younger, they can see shadows and stuff.
Well, I think I just see them as silhouettes. I don't think they're like actual like shadow people. I think I see like silhouettes. Oh, I forgot to like plug in my computer.
Well, let me check mine too.
It's like your battery's low.
I'm like, plug-in break.
Oh, I know. Let me
mine's not
find the plug. I was like, whoops, where did Rachel go? Her computer died. She forgot to plug it in.
I love it. That's perfect.
Hold on dark, and it made me, and look, the screen got brighter.
It did.
That's why it was
Yeah.
so dark.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, funny. That's why it was dark the whole time. So, that is too funny. So I'm really good with
this is the podcast. We are all psychic, so they're used to this kind of thing happening when we have our.
I know, right? We always have.
We always have something go on. So much like that little line has been on my screen for ever since they did that update, and I can't figure out how to take that overlay off.
No.
I moved it all around my screen, but I can't do anything else. Mm-hmm. I can change its color, but
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and so
you weren't around it growing up. So were you like raised in any kind of religious background or any kind of spiritual?
Yeah. Well, my parents are very conservative Christian, non-denominational, and so, but these gifts run in my family. Yeah. And so my mom has these gifts. My grandmother used to tell me stories about seeing angels in her room and stuff like that. Yeah. And so they kind of run in my family, but growing up, my mom's always been afraid of her gifts. So growing up, she would always tell me I would say, Mom, I see things, I hear things, and I thought everybody just kind of knew things. I didn't realize that I was psychic. I thought like everyone kind of knew things. I thought I was a really good guesser, or like I was just
when did you find out that you were different, or like most people weren't observing what you were?
When I got older and people were like, how'd you know that? And I'm like, I don't know.
They started noticing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just thought I was like really lucky, or like a really good guesser, or like I can do remote viewing. And I always thought I had like a semi-photographic memory, because if somebody asked me where something was, like I could tell them exactly, I could see it in my head exactly where it was.
Yeah.
But
how can you do that for someone on the phone you never even seen before, right? There's something to that.
And
that's amazing.
Well, and it was more like my own stuff. Yeah. And so I thought I had kind of a photographic memory. And then I realized when I learned what remote viewing was, I was like, oh, I'm remote viewing things.
Yes. Isn't that weird? Okay. I did that. My co-host Misty, she's not here, but we used to sit together at my old apartment when I lived in Alabama. And I was trying to teach her how to remote view. And I was describing an old boyfriend, just talking about moving in with an old boyfriend who I didn't move in with, but that's another story. But I was telling her I was going to, and she just kind of looked up, and then she was listening. And I said, Misty, we had just been talking about remote viewing before I said that. I said, did you just kind of picture his house when I said that? And she said, yeah. I said, you've never been in his house, have you? And she's like, no. I said, well, tell me what you pictured. And she'd been in his backyard, but she'd never been inside. So I was like, she described all like his wallpaper, like the flooring, the layout. And I was like, and the pictures on the walls, like what kinds he had and stuff, and the colors of, like she slowly, but some things were wrong, but most of it was pretty right on, Mm-hmm. And that's like pretty much most people do that. When they imagine in a book or whatever. It was I think it's so interesting how a lot of people can read the same novel and picture it the same way. Or I see a film and it's like, that's how I pictured it in my head when I read that book, Mm-hmm. I think that's really like an amazing thing too, Yeah,
it is. It's really cool. Well, we also had a ghost cat in our house that I never knew I actually didn't know what it was, a cat.
I love a ghost cat. Yeah.
Yeah, until I got older, but I would see this little white blur like come like flying out from under the bed. One time I sat on my mom's bed and I saw this white blur like come out from under the bed and like turn the corner, run down the hall. And I was like, and it was just this like white blob. And I'm like, what is that? And my mom she would come home and she would see like something white go around the corner too.
But she did see it too.
Yeah, she would see it too. But my mom was terrified of her gifts. So she taught me to be terrified of my gifts. And so I would tell her, I would see something. They're like, just ignore it. Like, that's just the devil trying to mess with you. And so whenever I would feel other spirits, I would think they were like demons trying to get me.
Were you ever torn, or were you sure they were demons coming to get you? I mean, did you ever kind of second guess her or anything, or?
Not until I got older. Is when I started to, it just always scared me. And so,
you have no idea what it is. If someone's telling you it's evil and you have no idea what it is, of course, that's terrifying.
Yes, I would be so scared. So I suppressed my gifts probably most of my life. But they were always there. Like I would have
Right.
dreams that would come true, and I would know when my kids were doing stuff that they weren't supposed to be doing. Um, and and my life was always guided. Like I always could hear my guides, and I
Yeah.
must have always been able to hear them, because when I would hear the voice in my head saying, well, what about this? Or, be careful of that, or do this, do that. I never questioned it, and
Yeah.
it didn't seem
It's
weird to me. So I
yeah.
must have always been able to hear them. I have a funny story. So my two oldest daughters, I was married twice. In my first marriage, I had my two oldest daughters.
Okay.
And when I was pregnant with my oldest one, I didn't know if she was going to be a boy or girl. They couldn't
Oh.
tell me in the ultrasound. And so I was walking down the street one day and I was like, what am I going to name my baby? And I heard a name in my head say Jessica. And I said, Jessica, I hate that name. I would never name my
Like
kid
Jessica
Jessica.
Rabbit is the first thing that popped into my head. You
Yeah.
know?
And I was like, I would never name my kid Jessica. That's a horrible name. I would never do that. Well, then she was born and it was a girl, and I named her Jessica because I could never think of any other
That's
name.
it. Yeah. She's
So I
like,
said,
my name's
okay,
Jessica,
she's
Mom.
Jessica. Yeah, and then I had my second daughter, and I was going to name her Alicia. I was going to name her Alicia, but when she was born, I started calling her Alicia.
Weird.
And yeah, and Alicia just, that suited her.
I
So I
love
don't
that
know,
name.
that was supposed to name be Alicia, so I named her Alicia.
Yeah.
Well, and then we separated, got divorced, spent 3 years as a single mom. Then I met my second husband, and his name was Jesse. And so I met him, and I said, I have, I said, well, I have two little girls. And he says, oh, well, what are their names? And I said, Jessica and Alicia. And he said, oh, I always wanted to name my kids that. He goes, that's my parents' names. He said, my dad's name is Jesse and my mom's name is Alicia.
That's really
Isn't
weird.
that wild?
Whoa. Oh, that's like soul children, stepfather stuff. Yeah. I was a stepmother, so I feel that one. you know?
Yeah, and so that was our joke. Like I named my kids after his parents before I even, knew him, before I even met him.
That is so crazy. And you didn't want the Jessica name, and then you thought it's weird that you even came up with her name. I can't remember how you pronounced it now.
Alicia.
Alicia. Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
so close to that anyway, So
Mhm.
oh, that's
Yeah,
just
so
such
that
a
was
weird
pretty,
thing. That is really weird. Yeah. I love
yeah,
that.
it was pretty wild. So,
You
but
had like kind of like postmarks through your life to let you know when you're like on the right track too, it sounds like, or
oh
things are
yeah.
still there for you waiting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. It is. It was always kind of like that. Or I would always just like get a feeling like, oh, I should do this or I should do that. And I was always really good at listening to my gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like I said, I've always been guided, and I was always really good at listening to my guides, even though I didn't know I was psychic or a medium.
It's interesting that you said that about the guides, because I had when I was younger, I would definitely had imaginary everything I had a personality, like every toy, and had a
Mhm.
name, and they had sort of situations, and stories and stuff. But I had like an inner voice, and I just called it. I still do it. I was just like, oh no, it's saying I shouldn't do that. In my mind, I'm like, no, it says no. What is
Mhm.
it? I don't know what it is. It's my spirit guides, or it's the
Yeah.
guidance of whatever's there, whatever wants to be talking to me. I don't know, like specifically who it is, but I think of it as my higher self or God or whatever. Whatever, I think it's a higher self thing, or possibly the guardian angel, or just like my other half of me that just talks to me. I don't know, but it's just always been an it. That's why I kind of think it might be my guardian angel, because I think of angels as it's. I don't know. It's just been a weird kind of
I don't
like
know. I kind of feel like it's all three.
all
It's
of
not
them.
just, yeah, it's all
Probably
of them.
is
It's not
it.
just one. Yeah,
It
it's
does feel
them.
like it's like it's not an energy of a consciousness really, but it's doing consciousness stuff. So it's like all of them.
Collective.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting anyways. That's what I'm tapping into. It's like it's a collective. It's not just
Feels
one.
that way. It feels like
Uh-huh.
in my solar plexus and in my sacral when I get those answers, and it
Mhm.
comes up to here, and I'm like, oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
So when did you start kind of like really accepting the side of yourself again, and how did it happen
Um,
for you?
well, like I said, I kind of used my gifts. I didn't do the mediumship part because that always scared me. but I kind of embraced my intuitive side because it always helped me, and it always worked out really well for me. And I've always had a very strong faith, and so I was very involved in my church. Like when my kids were growing up, for the most of my marriage, I was a stay-at-home mom. Me and my husband had 3 more kids together, so 5 kids altogether. And
you didn't work too? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
How can you do 5 kids?
I did here and there. I always
That's
had little
mind-boggling. I don't know how. I couldn't even get pregnant once. I wasn't going to do it. And you had 5. I have a friend who had 5 kids too, and I'm just like, wow.
Oh. I loved having kids.
She did too. She does. Well, she had 4 girls, and then they had a surprise pregnancy, and it was a boy.
Oh no! Yeah, we have 3 girls. 3 girls and then 2 boys.
Oh,
and the 2 boys are the younger ones.
Oh,
yeah. And well, so unfortunately, my husband passed away in 2019, in December 2019, and like I said, I always had my gifts. He was very gifted too.
Yeah.
And all my kids are gifted. But he was also very gifted, and he'd gotten sick. He had gotten sick. We found out he had this really rare blood disease that he probably had for a long time. And it's one of those really quiet diseases. So by the time you're diagnosed with it, you have like a 10% chance of surviving the next 6 months. And so he passed away about 3 months later. And me and him were very in tune. Like I always knew when he was going to call me, or he always knew when I was going to call him. Like we'd pick up the phone to call each other and the phone would ring. I
love that.
We were just very in tune with each other. Yes. And so he had started having dreams that he's like, I think I'm going to get in a car accident because I keep having these dreams I'm in the hospital. And then he wasn't in any of my dreams anymore. And I was like, why am I not dreaming about him? That's so weird.
You didn't want to.
And then I think it was just like they're kind of warning me. And then while he was struggling with his illness, so he couldn't go up the stairs anymore because he was declining really fast. And we're in our early 40s at this point. I'm 50 years old right now. So we're in our early 40s. And he was declining, so he couldn't come upstairs anymore. So we were actually sleeping in this room. This is like my office / guest room.
Yeah.
So we were sleeping in this room, and I told him, I'm going to go take a shower. I'll be right back. And he said, okay. So I went upstairs to go take a shower, and I had a vision, and it was the first time I'd ever had a vision while I was awake. Because I usually get them in my dreams.
Okay.
In the morning, I have like dream messages, or dream visions.
That's really cool.
But this time, I was in the shower and I saw him open the door, and he looked at me with a smile on his face, and he stepped into the shower with me. And I was probably standing there, naked and wet, with my jaw hanging down because I couldn't believe what I was seeing because it was so clear and so vivid.
Wearing his clothes and everything, and
no, he was butt naked. We used to always shower together.
That's what I was about to ask. Yeah, is this like something? Oh.
Yeah, but it wasn't a memory. Like it was stronger. Like I was watching it, It wasn't just something I was remembering in my head. I was seeing it. And
I know exactly what you're talking about. That happened to me one time too, right before I found out someone died.
Yeah. And
not shower in situation, but that feeling of just it's happening. It's happening, even if it is a memory, or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And he stepped in and he smiled at me, and then he faded away. And I knew in my heart that he wasn't going to be here much longer, that he was going to pass away soon. So I was crying and pulled myself together, went downstairs. And as soon as I saw him again, I just started bawling. And he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm just afraid you're never going to shower with me again. And he's like, I will. Well, that night he went into cardiogenic shock and he passed away 3 days later.
Oh.
Yeah. I believe it was his soul just kind of giving me a heads up, letting me know.
I think so too.
Yes. My dog is barking like crazy. I hope you can't hear him.
No, I don't hear any dog.
Okay, good.
We love pets on the podcast, so they're all welcome. I can't hear any dogs, so I think
okay, good. I don't know what
they're contributing. They're contributing for the people who go back, centuries from now and figure out what this stuff is and get into the recordings and stuff. They'll be like digging into the whatever this audio thing is, they call it, and they'll find this dog barking and like, sad. think
Like,
that's one
what
of
is that?
the dogs. Dogs will always be here. Dogs will be here for thousands and
Yes.
thousands. They'll be here longer than we are.
Yep.
So,
Well, I'm glad you can't hear him.
so I feel like, I feel like you're still talking with your husband like a lot. You still
Oh,
do?
yes, we do.
Yeah.
Well, so like I said, he passed away 3 days later at in the hospital. Um, and when I was leaving, he was going to be cremated, so we all took turns saying goodbye to his
Yeah.
body, and I was the last person to be in the room with him to say goodbye. And when I was walking out of the ICU, as I was walking out, I saw him, and I see everything inside my mind.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
My day. Yeah.
yeah, and so I saw him walking next to me, and in his
Felt
hospital
it
gown.
too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like I could see him, and I thought, okay, maybe I was like, am I in shock, or am I just seeing this because me and him always I would always go with him to the hospital. I would stay with him, like both of us would move in. I did everything with him, and so I thought maybe I was just in shock or something. But now I know, no, I was actually seeing him walking with me. And then after that, like
I see what you're saying. You didn't know
he kept
them.
sending me all these signs. Like I was getting, the day I got home from the hospital, like I was talking to my mom, and when I pulled the phone away from my ear, it had somehow went into my gallery and pulled up a picture of him smiling at me. And I knew that was him, letting me know he was okay. And then I would hear him. I would hear him. I would see him. I could smell him. I would feel him. Yeah, we were married for over 20 years. So, when you're with somebody that long, you know what their energy feels like when they walk
Yes.
into the room.
Yes. Even if you're not working with energy, you know something. You know
Yeah.
someone's there when they're not
And
physically.
he would show me things. Like he would show me his memories. Like I would see things from
Like
his
from his point of
perspective.
view.
From
Oh,
his, yeah. And
wow.
I was like, oh,
They're
wow.
really
It was so.
sharing in a whole different way than you ever had before.
Mhm. Yeah. And he even picked the flowers out for his funeral,
Oh.
which it was so crazy. So that was
Was it
my
through
first
you?
real experience.
Before his death or through you?
No,
He picked
through
flowers.
me. So I went to go order the flowers for his
Oh.
funeral, and I had looked online. I saw this bouquet of red roses that I wanted to get, but I kept seeing red and white roses in my head. And I kept seeing a picture of red and white roses, and it was like this blinking light, red and white, red and white. And I was like, why do I keep seeing these red and white roses? And I was like, I want red roses. So I go over there with my daughter, and then I order red and white roses because I could not stop seeing the red and white. So I ordered red and
He
white
didn't order his
roses.
own roses.
And then I was like, we laughed, and I was like, why did I order red and white? I didn't want red and white. I wanted red roses. So we had went back to order more flowers like a couple days later, and I said, I was here the other day and I ordered, and I want to change my order because I ordered red and white, but I really just want red roses. I mean, can I change my order? And they're like, sure. So I changed my order, and then the day of his funeral, they delivered red and white roses.
I was waiting for it. Oh, no way.
I was so upset because I thought they lost my order, and that was somebody else's order. And
oh, I love that so much.
and
That's just
so
great.
it was, it was hard. It was a hard time. We
Yeah.
did we had a funeral here for him where we live, and then I'm in Colorado, and then he's originally from California, so we did another funeral in California for all his family members out there. And when we were, and his mother was Catholic, so I let I let them do it however they wanted because I knew that meant a
Yeah.
lot to
Oh,
her.
Catholics do it up. Wow. I was raised Catholic.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So we had a Catholic funeral. I said, you
Yeah.
guys, you can have it however, you can do whatever you want. So I was sitting there during the service, and I heard him say thank you.
Oh, because they have fun. I mean, it's not fun. The Catholics, when they do it, Irish Catholics that I know anyway, they would, up in Philadelphia, usually the funerals lasted 3 days, 4 days. There was like the viewing, the wake, the funeral, there's a big party afterward, where there's just like catering or people just make a bunch of food and then they all get really drunk. Or not everybody, most people get really drunk, but they laugh and tell story. Everyone's crying until that point, and after everything's done and they go back. I guess that's the wake. I'm not sure. Is that the wake?
Yeah, they usually have wigs, but he was cremated, so we just had the
Okay.
service.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
we
yeah,
just
the
had the one
mass.
service.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we had the
That's
mass.
good. It's hard to get through those masses sometimes because if for me it is if it's someone I was really close with because it's so long and it's just like I feel terrible for an hour.
I know, and then it's like, and then stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down.
Yes.
Yeah,
Especially if you're not used to it and you've never done it. It's like not much.
Yeah, and so
feel like
I was
doing at a
getting
funeral.
so I was getting all these messages from him, and I thought, like, what is going on? What is this? And I was telling like my mom and my brothers and my cousins. They all thought I like lost it, right? They thought I snapped or something. But my kids were also hearing their dad. Like they were also getting messages from their dad.
Yeah.
And or songs through the radio, and just like he was just overloading us with signs. And so I was, I was really, really struggling. I was really struggling. I was very distraught. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, a friend of mine reached out to me and she said, "Hey, when my husband passed, we went to go see this medium. She really helped us." She says, "Oh, and by the way, you're already friends on Facebook." And I said, "Oh, really?" I was like, "What? I'm friends with a medium?" Like,
you're like,
at this point, I was like very involved in my church.
You need to talk
I was
to
in
somebody
women's ministry, and
okay,
so
okay.
yeah, I had been in women's ministry for like 6
years. Were you needing to
years.
talk to him? Were you thinking that you might be a medium yet, and then that's something you wanted
I
to talk to
wasn't
somebody
sure.
about?
I knew I was getting messages from him, and
Okay.
I just thought that me and him were just so connected. That we were just always so connected, and so I could still feel him. And so then I went to go see this medium. I took me a few months to really, because I kind of struggled with it. Like, no, I'm not supposed to do that. That's bad.
I bet.
All my childhood, all my
Mhm.
religious trauma from childhood was coming up. But I finally, I called her up and she said, he's showing me the shower. And I was like, "Oh, we used to shower together." And she's like, "And he's showing me red and white roses." And I said, "Oh, those were the roses from his funeral." And so that was before I even made an appointment with her. So I made
you
an
were
appointment.
like, wow, other people, this, like, what were you thinking when she told you?
I was just like, "Oh, wow, it's him."
Were you really surprised, or were you kind of surprised, or was this the validation you were looking
surprised.
for?
It was that validation.
Yeah.
So I went to go see her and I walked into her office and she said, "Wow, you have a really bright light." And I was like, "Okay." So, we did the reading and she validates a lot of stuff. He comes through and gives a lot of messages. And it was a really great reading and it was very healing. And at the end, I asked her, I said, "So when I walked in, you said, I had a really bright light." I said, "What does that mean?" And she goes, "Well, it means you're really open." And I was like, "Okay, well, what does that mean?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Well," she goes, "You're very gifted." I said, "Really?" She goes, "You have a lot of gifts." She said, "You have a lot of gifts. You can probably do what I do." And I was like, "Yeah, right. Yeah, right, whatever." And she goes, "No, I'm serious. You can probably do what I do. You're very, very gifted and you're very powerful. You don't even know it." And I was like, "Okay, that's
Were you
weird."
thinking she was trying to hook you and get some money out of you or something? Or did you kind of really believe her? Or what were you thinking? You just didn't.
Well, I was like sharing with her all my experiences, like throughout my life.
Then. Okay, so she could validate that for you, like your dreams
and
coming
she's
true and
like,
stuff.
Yeah, so she's like, "I have a class coming up," and she's, you should take it. And so I took the class, and well, so I took the class, and now me and her, she's my business partner, and we share an office together now.
Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful! Oh my god,
yes.
So you really clicked too as friends.
We clicked. Well, here's another wild story. We never knew how we had become friends on Facebook.
Because I was wondering.
Yeah, we never knew how we had become friends on Facebook. We have some mutual friends, but we never knew. Like, I never would really send requests to people I didn't know, and she said the same thing. So we didn't know how we became friends, and so I think last year our friendiversary came up. And I got a notification from Facebook that it was my friendiversary with her. And I'd never seen it before. And I saw when it was, and I was completely blown away. I called her up and I said, "Her name's Carm." I said, "Carm, I know when our friendiversary is." And she said, "What?" I said, "It's the day that my husband died, is when we became friends."
Oh my gosh. Do you know how that happened? Or was that something?
And she goes, she said, that's wild. I said, Carm, I said, that day, my husband was in the hospital dying. I said, I was not on my Facebook. I
No.
was not sending out any
No, you
friend
weren't even
requests.
answering. You have to answer a request. You can't just,
Yeah. I said, I wasn't sending out any friend requests. And I sure as, hell wasn't,
he
accepting
loves
any
you
friend
so
requests.
much. He's making sure
Yeah.
you're my friend too.
And look at, now we're business
On the whole
partners.
future.
We share an office together. Yeah. Like he was
He
connecting
pushed
me.
you into it. He's like,
He was connecting me to my
butt
future.
into gear. Go do your psychic thing. So when was it that you were like, is that the kind of like an aha moment, or were you still kind of on the fence? Because that sounds like me. I was on.
No, when I did the class with her, we did an exercise, and it was my first class. And the whole time I'm there, I keep hearing be free in my head. And I'm like, what is that? And I just kept hearing be free, be free. And I think it was actually my dad was coming through to let me know that to embrace this and just be free and, let go of all that religious trauma. And so we did an exercise where she blindfolded me and I was sitting in the middle of a circle of people. And she said, I want you to do mediumship. And I'm like, I don't know how to do mediumship. She goes, yeah, you could do it. And she goes, just, tell me what you're seeing. What are you seeing? What's coming through? And right away in my head, I see a woman. And I'm like, oh, I see this woman. She looks like this. Her hair's to here. She goes, okay, is it a friend? Is it a friend? Is it person? And she tells me if it's a friend, you'll see them shoulder to shoulder. If it's, somebody that loves them, you'll see them right behind them, right in front of them, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I see them shoulder to shoulder. And she's kind of guiding me a little bit. And I'm telling her what I'm seeing. And then she's like, I'm in a swivel, I'm in a desk chair. So she's kind of turning me she's asking people, okay, does this resonate with anyone? And I'm blindfolded, so I don't realize people are raising their hands. And she's turning me. And then finally she stops my chair in one direction. And I'm saying, what I'm getting. And I said it was a woman, 30 something years old. Okay, how did she pass? And I'm like, and I'm feeling like here. And I said, like, she had breast cancer. Is it something here? Like maybe breast cancer. Never had done anything like this before ever.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, what is this? I see two little girls running in a field. And I didn't say that part because I'm like, okay, this lady's 30 something years old.
Yeah,
I'm like, that must be random. My own stuff. Yeah. And, she had this kind of hair and she was somebody's friend. And so she takes off my blindfold and the woman sitting across from me is just crying in tears. And she says, that's my friend. She goes, that's my friend that you brought in. And she said, and I've had readings before and nobody's ever been able to connect with her. Aww. And I was like, oh, wow. And she goes, and I had said that she showed me a butterfly and she said a little white butterfly. And she goes, every time I see those white butterflies, I know it's her. And so I was like, oh, wow. And then later on, so I was blown away. And then later on, I was talking to her and I said, I saw two little girls like running in the field, but I thought that was just my own stuff. She goes, oh, no, we met in kindergarten and we used to run around and play. And so that was my first.
What their favorite memories were. First childhood memories together, just being best friends, running around in the fields. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I love that. So you really got some great validation from like people you didn't even know, really. Yeah,
I didn't know any of these people, and so I was blown away. And she told me she always knew I was a medium, and that she always knew I was going to be stepping into this work. So so I worked with her for about a year. I was working with her, and she kept asking me, a few months in, she kept saying, "Do you think you want to do this professionally?" And I was like, "No." Yeah. And she's like, you need to start doing shows, she asked me for like a whole year. She kept asking me. And then finally I said, yes. Okay. Because I was like, I have to get off the fence. But once I embraced it and stopped being afraid of it, and that was the biggest thing. She taught me not to be afraid.
She got you there. Yes. Good.
And she taught me how to protect myself, how to protect my energy. And once I stopped being afraid, like the doors just blew open and then other people started coming in. I was in a widows group. And
oh my gosh,
now they're
all probably were a blessing in that widows group if you were starting to work. Did you do that for a lot of the women there? Or people?
I was in a widows group and it was during COVID, so everything was shut down. And I would always tell them, oh yeah, like the signs I was getting from my husband, and they were like, "You're so lucky, you're so lucky." And I wish I was getting signs. And then one of them was talking. She was really struggling, and she was like, I went to this bar and I was drinking a beer, and the song came on, "Hello from the Other Side," and I was just wondering if that was my husband. And all of a sudden, I could hear him saying, "It was me. Yes, that's
Oh,
me. That's
yes.
me." And but I didn't say anything because I'm like, I can't. They're
I
gonna think
know.
I'm
Sometimes
crazy. I
you
can't
don't
say
know,
anything.
like, if it's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, unless they ask
Yeah, but then
specifically, do you?
their
Yeah.
husbands started coming
Sometimes
through,
I
and
just
I was
will,
like,
not often. I just have so good. It's a really good thing you're talking a good thing, but it's like a hard thing to do. What you're talking about, like,
yes.
do I tell someone or do I not? Most people are kind of on the fence there. Like, it really depends on the situation, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I've only
Well,
actually
so
done it a few times, but every once in a while, I'll hear it. When I'm out and about, and I'm just like, no, 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 no.
mhm.
It's your business.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I didn't say anything, and then we had gotten together for dinner one time, and as soon as I walked in, I could feel her husband. I could feel him, like just kind of. It almost felt like he was kind of
Oh,
flying around,
wow. Yeah.
and and so she was talking. She was really struggling, and she was talking. We had this banner, and he's giving her all these signs, and she's like, I don't know if that's really a sign. And I can hear him. It's that
Second
blinking light in my
guessing.
head,
Yeah.
right? It's me, it's me, it's me. And I couldn't take it anymore. And I said, I have to tell you something. And she's like, what? And I said, I can hear your husband. And he said, yes, that's him. And she's like, oh my gosh. And I was like, can I give you a hug? And she says,
Oh,
yes. And I give her a hug. And as I hug her, all of it just starts flowing. And I just start telling her, he loves you. And I'm
so you were
telling
like
her all the
holding her
stuff
and
that
telling her all the stuff that was he
I was
channeling?
like
Was he
telling her in
channeling
her
him, or was he just
ear.
telling you that?
I
Both.
mean,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, like I would hear him, and then first I was hearing him, and then I was just channeling all of it and
Oh
just saying
wow,
all of
that's
it.
amazing. It's kind of like
And
Ghost.
yeah,
Yeah, it's cool. Like, when you
and
have
it
the scene
was
in Ghost where Whoopi Goldberg, like Patrick Swayze. I don't know if you've seen that movie. I'm
yes, I have.
49, so I'm right there with
Mhm.
you. And I'm sure I'm like, she has to have seen Ghost.
Yes,
That reminds
yes.
me of that a little bit.
Well,
That
and it was the most beautiful thing. I could feel how much he loved her, and it was just so beautiful. And so I delivered her the messages for her, and I saw a really beautiful thing. I saw how healing it was. And like she did a whole 180 from how she had been to like she had
that's so
hope. And
great. That's what it's supposed
yeah,
to do.
it was really beautiful. And,
Yeah.
validation, like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
And
But
he's not gone. He's not really gone. That thing.
mhm,
He's not ever
yeah.
gone altogether.
But
Yeah.
it was hard at first because I was always taught that it was bad. And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
so I really struggled with
I was always
embracing
taught
it.
I wasn't taught it was bad, but it was kind of crazy. It doesn't really, like, only really special people have that.
Mhm. Oh no, my mom was like,
My mom was
don't.
psychic as hell. She didn't think of it
My
that
My
way.
mom too, like she always knew when we were doing something. Like my mom was
Hmm.
super psychic, but she was scared. So she would always tell me. She would tell
Yeah.
me, you're going to end up in the crazy house. You're going to have a mental breakdown if you do that. And I was like, no, mom, like I know how to protect myself. Like I'm not,
Did you ever get to a point where you could be comfortable, like, to talk to her about it and she was okay with it?
we do now.
Yeah.
She's still
Okay.
kind of because of her religious beliefs, she's still kind of on the fence. She's like, I don't
Yeah.
know. And I said, well, mom, just pray for me then.
Yeah.
So I tell her.
Yeah.
But she's definitely more accepting, and we definitely have more conversations. Because they do run in my family, and
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
brother who's also,
Oh, it runs in my family
sick.
too, but they all deny it's a thing, and they accept that I work in this field. They don't watch the podcast or have any interest in what I do, of course, because
Yeah.
they think it's crazy, really. But I do
Mhm.
cards for them whenever they go to the casino. Now, my dad does, like, he'll be like, if I do a reading and something personal comes up, he's like, really? But he's very quiet. Not, he doesn't. He's reserved kind of to a lot of people. But when
Yeah.
we get into those readings, he's like, "Oh, keep going." Mom's like, "Oh, stop that! More about the money we might win." And it's just it's funny. But they just take it very lightly. They're just happy I'm working.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good.
Doing
I
something
know,
with myself.
right? I'm like, Mom, I gotta make, because I do this full time, and so
I
I'm
do
like, Mom,
too. Yeah.
I've got to make a living.
Yeah.
And
Yep. Yep. Yep.
she's like, I just worry about you, and I'm like, Mom, I said, you don't think God can protect me? I tell her, don't you have
Oh,
faith in God, Mom? Because I have faith in God. You don't
what
think he
you
can
did to me
protect
when I was little. You're getting a back bomb.
Yeah. And she's
Maybe.
like, well, I guess. Yeah. So she always says, I don't know. But definitely my family's more open about it now and we all talk about it now.
That
So
is really cool. Yeah, everyone like I don't think every really in my family I can't think of a single family member, extended family member, cousin, anything that listens to this podcast, and I've been doing it for like 6 years.
mhm.
You know, and I'm just like they have no interest. It's just there's no interest in anybody's
Yeah.
in the family, but they all have that witch. They call it they used to call it the witch sense after my Aunt Lil. She had called
Oh, okay.
hers a witch sense, and she
Mhm.
had all kinds of wild things happen, like she could talk about. And I mean, I've seen my mom go through like just knowing stuff, and she just doesn't think about it. Like you said, you would when you were a kid, you thought everybody just kind of could tell what people were thinking about, and she can always tell.
Yeah.
But she doesn't think of it that way. I don't think.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
thinks she's a sleuth. It's like no, you're
Yeah,
psychic.
that's my mom.
You're not a sleuth.
Yeah, that's how my mom was. Well, my dad passed about 2 months after my husband. And I remember my dad's phone, like his phone kit would just start randomly playing music
That's
all the time. And I would tell Mom, look, Dad's sending you signs. She's, no, something, it's probably just glitchy or something. I was like, no, Mom,
hmm
he's sending you signs, Mom. Like, has his phone ever done that before? So, well, no.
I
Like,
feel like in
really,
my
like,
head, I'm seeing her kind of trying not to smile a little bit, like trying not to. I don't know if she did that or not. I just kind of picture it in my head.
she'd be like, really? Do you think so? No, that can. Well, and then our church preached that, when you die, you're just asleep.
Yeah.
And so she would say, no, because they say that, when you die, you're just asleep. And I'm
You're
like,
asleep till the judgment in most religions that are Christian,
yes,
right? Okay. Okay.
yes. And so I'm like, no, Mom, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, so once I embraced it, that was it. Like there was no going back. And other people started showing up. I'd be having lunch with a friend, and all of a sudden I'm like, there's somebody sitting next to you.
And they love it, don't they? They just go,
And
woo. They
she
get
was like,
colds.
what?
They get colds and stuff. Like if that happens to me,
Well, sometimes they feel like the chills. Like
that's
I
what I'm
can,
talking
like
about. Like I'll be like,
they're
so and
like,
so's
oh,
here, and
they've
they're
got,
like, oh, it was cold,
or they'll feel like just tingling. They usually will
Tingles,
feel
yeah, or the
tingling.
raise the hairs on the arm or the neck or
Mhm.
something. Sometimes that'll happen. For me, it's
Yeah.
always been if a spirit comes around to talk to someone, they usually it's almost always cold, but sometimes it's the hair.
Mm.
Yeah.
I never had the cold, but I used to always, in the beginning, my head would start tingling. The back of my head would
Ooh,
tingle.
yeah,
And
like
I would
back
be
to
like,
like where
what?
the third eye part is back in here,
Yeah,
or
it's like my
yeah,
spidey sense. Well, it was more like on the side of my head, like right here. And I'd be like, why?
weird. Like
Yeah, and
on
I'd be like,
inside or on the scalp or both.
almost like on this. I don't know. Never thought about that.
Just in the energy, right? Like your energetic
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah. And when, and your gifts are always like shifting and changing, right? So early
Yes.
on, I would feel the tingling. Um, Now I don't feel that. I don't feel the tingling. Now I just know. I just have
Yeah, me
my
too.
knowing is really, my knowing is very strong. And so I'm like, oh, sometimes my shoulder will hurt. If it's a strong energy, my
Yeah.
shoulder will kind of ache because I have like a big knot in my shoulder and it's like the energy kind of gets stuck in there.
Right. I have
I'll be like,
scoliosis and I have a knot that does that as well. Like making me want to rub it right now. Like, oh, feels so good. We're both doing
yeah.
it. So I have it when they're coming through really strong. Like I call it brain stabbing, like stabs right here on my
Oh,
brain.
okay.
And it's usually it's like something. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you, but I always felt like that was like a spirit knocking on the window really loudly, like, "Pay attention right now! Stop being spaced out." It's
Yeah.
kind of what it
I
felt
know
like.
it's so interesting. Like everyone's gifting is so different and how we
Totally.
all get information is so different,
And it's
right?
so cool that we can talk about it and kind of understand, like pretty well understand each other,
Mhm.
and our experiences from something we've had happen to us,
Yeah.
or
Or
just
nothing sounds
things.
crazy, right?
It doesn't to me though. I mean, of course, this is like I live alone and I work as a psychic reader and I do this podcast. I don't see too many people, so it's like all I do. So it's not that weird anymore. And I guess I just had to kind of go down that, immerse myself. And I saw also that you do some spiritual coaching too, right? You teach people this how to use energy and work with people.
Yeah, I do energy healing. I do mentoring, teaching.
How can people find you? Do you have a website or?
I do. My website is RachaelOrtega.com. And my name is not spelled like the traditional way. It's Rachael.
Yeah.
But yeah, RachaelOrtega.com.
Rachael, yeah. It's like an angel name, Rachael.
I also have a Facebook group that I run too. It's
what is it called?
It's All Things Spiritual Colorado.
Okay, cool. We'll put listeners and watchers. This is a podcast, video podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Forgot to say that in the beginning, but it'll be in the description along with everything she wants in there. And I guess let me thank my sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is the sponsor of this podcast, everclear.com. It is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And lastly, Rachael, do you have any advice for someone who maybe they feel the energies around them and they're pretty sure it's not possible that they could be a medium, and maybe they have been scared by experiences they even had, not necessarily what people told them to be afraid of, but maybe they had some bad, scary experiences. And now they're like older and they want to get like, open it back up and kind of really kind of go there and see what it's about, but they're scared of for whatever reason, maybe, childhood ingrained kind of thinking or anything like that. Do you have any advice for people going through?
Yes, definitely get connected with a mentor, with somebody that can mentor them. That was, yeah, definitely, because they can teach you. They can teach you how to manage your own energy, how to shield and
advice on how to find the right mentor, because that's really, it's hard to find the right mentor. Each person needs to find, the mentor finds them, So.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's divinely guided, right? Like kind of how I found my mentor, totally divinely guided. Yes. But also, so it's some of it's who you're drawn to. You're drawn. A lot of people that come to me, they felt very drawn to, and so you just got to feel into it. Into it.
I bet you'd be great at teaching this, because I can tell like everything you talk about. I can like totally kind of feel it from your point of view and see it how you articulate it perfectly too, though. So it's been really, really great.
I've been teaching for the last couple years now. 2 years now I've been teaching and coaching and mentoring.
So is it mainly mediumship that you've been teaching, or is it all like
just all things energy, psychic,
individual kind of, or do you do classes?
We do classes. Me and my business partner Carm, we do intuition classes, and we do mediumship classes, and we have a circle group too, so it's like a practice group.
Yes.
And then I do individual mentoring also, and just help whatever, and that just is whatever my client wants to work on. That's what we work on.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's their own healing that they're working on. Sometimes they're working on exploring their gifts.
Yes, that's my favorite. I love it when a client wants to do that. They usually heal and then they want to do the gifts, but they do it at the same time. It's kind of what I found. They do go hand in hand, going through your healing process of any kind of self-love and all that. They go hand in hand with your spiritual energy.
Yeah. Psychic. And I'm also on Facebook. Like I said, we have the Facebook group, All Things Spiritual Colorado. And then also I have my own Facebook page, which is Rachael Ortega Medium, on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, I'll put all that in the description, listeners, and I'll tag you in the post when I advertise for the podcast too.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point we must say goodbye. This has been a great podcast. Yeah. I could talk to you all night. It's like I was tired too, and I have been so sucked into everything you're saying. I feel like we're just sitting having coffee or something, don't you?
Oh yeah, I can feel all the energy. I definitely feel. My head spun a little bit, so I'm definitely feeling all the energy around us.
I'm like a high vibe, but I think you brought me down to a kind of good place, because I usually get really sped up when the podcast starts. I'll be like blah 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 blah. Sometimes, but today I felt good to just chilled out, and this has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Rachael.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you ever want to come back, you're welcome to teach us. We love lessons on this podcast. We're all psychic more than anything. We love to be taught.
Oh, yeah. Love to
Right,
anytime.
listeners, right, watchers? They said, yes, Lisa, yes. Yes, Rachel, yes, we want to be taught. Come back, come back. Thank you.
Anytime. I'd love to.
Okay, great. And listeners and watchers, I love you. And Rachel, do you love the listeners and the watchers?
Yes, I do love the listeners.
She loves them. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great time, Airbnb, and Rachel, like you, and everybody, peace out.
Yep.
Bye.